I will go out on a limb here and publicly say that is the best I've seen England play in 20 years.
Johnny Wilkinson, he drops from Alun-Wyn has beaten France.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up on the road in London, England, where rugby started, and it's appropriate that we're here when England is in the Rugby World Cup final. I'm here with Englishman Mike Friday and Scotsman Steve Lewis, and he is reluctantly here talking positively, perhaps, about England versus South Africa. Guys, we can't believe that we're here talking about this match, literally, with England in the final.
Yeah, well, I'm reading the Times this morning, and as per usual, English press, they're talking about the victory parade for Tuesday that they're planning. So that's just classic. That having been said, I will go out on a limb here and publicly say that is the best I've seen England play in 20 years. I thought they were dominant from the word go. Actually, they were worth more of a 7-point lead for 20 minutes. Bullied the All Blacks, thoroughly deserved the victory, and played some pretty good rugby. And that's all I'm saying.
2 tries even disallowed for England in that performance, and only because of the existence of the TMO, really, right? And how do you look at that match as an Englishman and then as a rugby guy?
I mean, I think and I mean this, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, I think the score flattered the All Blacks. I genuinely do. I think they were disallowed tries, but it just shows that, it was, a hair's width in both instances, which could have been missed in even in these modern times, which would have been another 14 points, which would have made it just an absolute drilling. But I think the significance of the defensive performance was that. I mean, I think the reality is the teams were evenly matched, but basically Underhill and Curry, they dominated the back row, and that was where the game was won defensively. I think Itoje, of course, was phenomenal, but those two boys just destroyed the All Blacks wherever they could, and they won valuable turnovers between them. They hunted as a pair, which then meant that Aaron Smith couldn't operate, and all of a sudden the All Blacks are under pressure. So I think, England played a first-class game, and fully deserved the victory, which we were all sitting there. But 60 seconds, you were like, did we just see that? Did we just see that? And they didn't let up. I look at the way they looked at the haka, and there's an English way that we do the V. There's 2 ways of doing it, and I'm not sure which way that was interpreted, but I would hazard a guess that's a little bit of Eddie Jones' humour.
I thought it was great.
It's clever, it's smart, and he's got a way out, whatever way he wants it interpreted.
And the fact that World Rugby are considering fining England is an absolute nonsense. You can have your haka, you can do your haka, but teams should be allowed there. The way they want to respond to it is up to them.
A couple of quick questions about the other match, and we'll get back to this one, but Alun-Wyn Jones, his legacy.
No, I mean, I think you saw at the end what it meant to him and what it meant to Foxy Davis in terms of they'd emptied. And I think the reality is that he's an experienced man, he's been around the block and has delivered time and time again, but he's played 80 minutes pretty much every game. And, player performances and his energy levels, he's not as young as he was, but they needed him out there. I think getting Jonathan Davis back was great, but then losing Liam Williams the next day was the little bit that just, and I thought Halfpenny was outstanding, but Liam Williams is the X factor, the difference, which could have been the difference to unlock things.
And George North.
Yeah, losing George as well, but when you look at it, the bit that I can't work out is they I was screaming when they took the scrum they should take the 3. And then as soon as he got the try, absolutely, that was the right decision. Right, yeah. But they got themselves back into the game, and they had 2 opportunities, I thought, to run a drop goal routine to probably then keep the scoreboard ticking and go to get 3 points ahead.
With Patchell.
Yeah.
Prince Harry.
The one he took was a long way, but there was 2 times where I felt they could have set themselves up for a routine, and they did take it. And then how rugby goes, 79th minute, Francois Lowe turns one over, penalty. Pollard, who'd kicked, again, superbly well, but not a lot else. And they win the game by 3.
Okay, so on the South Africa side, now they've got to face England. And I'm just curious because, I picked Faf de Klerk as my guy to watch in this tournament, but I also said Pollard was the most overrated fly half in the game. And as soon as he didn't miss it in the tournament, I said he was arguably the least impressive out of 6, because if you counted Barrett and Farrell as fly halves or forward. Yeah. But anyway, de Klerk, is he too feisty, and can England get in his head? Because you saw him go face to face with the huge guy with the beard, right? With the ball, right? And can they use that? Can Farrell get inside his head and get him off this game? Because he almost cost them climbing over for that penalty.
I think that was more linked to the mistake he'd just made rather than ball getting in his face, because he just knocked on. He managed to get the ball back, and then I think it all got carried away. I think the reality is he operates in the Premiership, so I think the likes of Farrell and all of that mob, he's used to that. And I think the interesting thing is for South Africa was a comment that Habana made, is his kicking is erratic. So normally their wingers know how far it's going and how long, so they can get their runs right. With Faf, it's a very erratic of how long or how high they go. So I think his accuracy as a box kicking is something that is going to be something that England could look to target. Faf de Klerk is a proper handful. He's proved it in the Premiership week in, week out, being a possible player of the year last year. So I think, if I'm Eddie Jones, I'm happy I'm playing South Africa, not Wales. First and foremost, irrelevant of all the jibes and the banter that's going on between him and Gatland, the reality is he didn't want to be playing Wales because that doesn't suit them. Right. Playing South Africa does. And I think, if anything, if Sinclair's fit, that's the one that the South Africans will go for. And I think Sinclair's been outstanding for England this World Cup. He's just been doing that little link play, and he's been very focused at scrum time. And I think if they can keep Sinclair and then get him on the pitch and keep him, then I think that's where England can move around this South African power defence game, because they need to be a little bit shrewder and detailed on these little tip passes to change the point of contact, which is definitely going to be coming in this game.
Right. So, and where are we going to be at 5 a.m.?
Don't know yet. Don't know yet. It's evolving. This is an evolving.
The pig and whistle.
I might be here in England watching this thing.
I'll be in Tokyo.
Well, yeah. I'm probably ruling out Tokyo right now, but it's still.
Well, especially if you've got to get an underground there, I'd rule it out.
Yeah. All right. So who's winning by what?
I'm going England, and I'm going to go England by 10.
England by 12.
You're gonna have to get that in the microphone. I'm sorry. Did you say you were picking
on the
England?
Am I on the record?
Yes, you are absolutely on the record.
On this occasion, England by 12.
I'm going England by 10. Yeah, and I think it's good, but I think it's going to be a nail biter for the most part. Neither team can afford a guy in the bin.
Here's one final point for me on this: if England play the way they played in the semi, and South Africa play the way they played in the semi, I really hope England wins. For the sake of the game.
Yeah, I think it would be I think it would be a mistake to keep kicking the ball to England. I think that if anything, for South Africa to have a chance, they need to retain possession as much as possible and keep the ball out of the playmakers on the other side.
Or kick accurately.
Yeah, they've got to find grass and touch if they're going to do that.
Yeah, not just the aerial ping pong again. All right, I want to thank Mr. Mike Friday and Mr. Steve Lewis, who picked England here in England, ladies and gentlemen. If you have no idea what that means, you have to come out of your cave, and I hope the coma doesn't go back in. But on behalf of Mr. Mike Friday and Mr. Steve Lewis and Reese Patchell, who is a combination of Alex Magleby and Prince Harry, I'm Matt McCarthy in London for Rugby Wrap Up on the Road.